If World War III began right now, this exact minute, what would actually happen? No theories, no exaggerations. Just a realistic breakdown of the first minutes, hours, and days of a global conflict between the world's most powerful nations. Because experts agree, the next World War would start faster and escalate faster than anything in human history. Today, you'll see exactly how it would unfold. Stay until the end, because the final phase is the moment humanity may not survive. It all starts with a single event. Not nukes, not an invasion, but a trigger, something that pushes superpowers into a rapid chain reaction. The spark could be anything. A collision between a US and a Chinese jet over the South China Sea. A Russian missile that accidentally strikes a NATO country. A massive cyber attack that gets blamed on the wrong nation. Maybe a naval blockade that goes wrong. Or even a false nuclear warning that's misinterpreted as real. Whatever that initial spark is, the result is the same. World War III begins instantly. Why? Because modern military systems are designed to respond in minutes, not hours. Within seconds of the trigger event, satellites are already detecting troop movements on the ground. Global defense networks go to their highest alert levels, and secure communication channels between military alliances like NATO light up across the world. And just like that, the most dangerous 24 hours in human history have begun. Within the first 10 minutes of World War III breaking out, the conflict is already hitting home. The first wave isn't missiles, it's cyber attacks. Power grids, banks, airports, hospitals, all are targeted immediately. For ordinary people, this means phone networks would suddenly fail. Your GPS would stop working, ATMs would shut down, and government websites would go offline. This isn't just an inconvenience. It's strategic warfare designed to create chaos and cripple a nation's infrastructure from the inside out. At the same time, high above the earth, a war in space is starting. Countries would race to blind each other by disabling communication and GPS satellites. This is a critical move to disrupt military coordination and navigation. Back on the ground, air forces scramble. US, Chinese, Russian, and NATO jets would launch within minutes of the first alert. At military bases across the world, from Germany to Japan to the continental United States, emergency sirens would be wailing, signaling an immediate threat. The speed of this escalation is something we've never seen before. Within the first 60 minutes, the world as we know it has completely changed. Borders slam shut. All commercial flights across Europe, Asia, and the United States are grounded. Airspace is declared a no-fly zone for civilian aircraft. International travel stops instantly. If you were on a plane, you'd be diverted to the nearest safe airport. If you were about to travel, your plans are canceled indefinitely. Simultaneously, the global financial system goes into a deep freeze. Stock markets crash, but then trading is halted to prevent a total meltdown from panic withdrawals and automated selling. Governments begin issuing emergency broadcasts. In the US, you'd see urgent messages flashing across your TV, phone, and computer screens. A national emergency has been declared. Stand by for official instructions. The immediate reaction from the public would be a rush to essential stores. Supermarkets, gas stations, and pharmacies would be mobbed. Shelves would empty within minutes as people desperately try to stockpile supplies, not knowing what comes next. Now, as we hit the 3-hour mark, the conflict officially becomes global. The fighting is no longer just potential or electronic. It's physical. Naval battles begin to erupt in critical waterways. In the Pacific, US and Chinese ships, which have been shadowing each other for years, finally clash. In the waters around Europe, NATO and Russian naval forces move into attack positions, turning seas like the Baltic and the Black Sea into active war. The massive cyber warfare campaign escalates even further. Hospitals, now without stable power, switch to backup generators, trying to keep life support machines running. Banks, to prevent a complete collapse, might lock all accounts, freezing people's access to their own money. Government networks go into what's called fortress mode, a digital lockdown to protect critical infrastructure and command and control systems from enemy hackers. At this point, nations around the globe are forced to choose sides. two major blocks quickly form. On one side, you have an alliance led by the United States, which would likely include the UK, France, Australia, Canada, and most of the other NATO nations. On the other side, an alliance forms around Russia and China, likely including North Korea, Iran, Belarus, and other aligned states. There is no more ambiguity. This is now a true world war, with clear battle lines drawn across the planet. By the time we reach the 12-hour mark, the war becomes undeniably deadly. The fight for control of the skies begins. This isn't like past wars. We're talking about hypersonic missiles traveling at over a mile per second, swarms of autonomous drones, and fleets of stealth jets engaging in massive dogfights. Air superiority is the key to winning the conventional war, and both sides would throw everything they have into these initial battles. On the economic front, global trade collapses. The world's shipping ports shut down. Oil, the lifeblood of the modern world, stops flowing through major arteries like the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal, the intricate supply chains that we all depend on for everything from food to electronics break instantly. The world economy effectively grinds to a halt. Baiken City civilians begin to see the war firsthand. In the US, you would see the National Guard deploying on the streets. Convoys of military vehicles would be seen moving down major highways. Public shelters and old Cold War-era bunkers would be opened. From a distance, people might see or hear explosions as distant military zones or air bases come under attack. Panic, which was simmering before, now begins to spread like wildfire. We've now reached the first 24 hours. This is the most dangerous stage of the conflict so far, where control is slipping away from everyone. The internet and social media become a weapon, a flood of misinformation, fake videos, false alerts, and AI-generated messages is unleashed to sow confusion and terror. It becomes impossible to know what's real and what's propaganda. Is that video of a bombed city real, or was it generated by an AI? No one knows for sure. During this time, direct strikes on military targets begin in earnest. These aren't just skirmishes anymore. We're talking about coordinated attacks on military bases, critical radar stations, and entire naval fleets. The goal is to decapitate the enemy's ability to fight, and this leads to the most terrifying development of all. Nuclear forces worldwide go on high alert. To be clear, this does not mean nuclear missiles are being fired, but it means that nuclear submarines are moving into launch positions. Missile silo crews are on standby, and strategic bombers, loaded with nuclear weapons, are preparing for a possible launch order. The world enters DEFCON 2, the step right before global nuclear war. The tension is at its absolute peak. This brings us to the nuclear threshold. Every major nation involved in the conflict now faces the most terrifying question in human history. If we begin to lose this conventional war, do we use nuclear weapons? Most nuclear doctrines are chillingly clear. They state that nuclear weapons can be used if the very survival of the nation is threatened, and that threat doesn't have to be a direct nuclear attack. Think about it. A failing cyber defense that leaves the country blind and vulnerable. A collapsing economy that leads to total societal breakdown. A destroyed military base that cripples your defense capability. A broken communication network that cuts off your leadership. Any of these could be interpreted as an existential threat. Any of these could be the trigger for the unthinkable. All it would take is one misinterpreted signal, one radar glitch that looks like an incoming missile, or one panicked leader making a decision under unimaginable pressure, and the future of humanity could be changed forever, in a matter of seconds. So, what if World War III started right now? It wouldn't begin with a single bomb. It would begin with chaos, a world losing control, faster than any human can possibly react. The only reason we're all still here is because, so far, no superpower has been pushed across that final, terrible line. If you want a part 2, exploring what would happen if World War III actually reached the nuclear stage, let me know in the comments below. This is RedSignalert. Stay aware. Stay prepared.